Dorian Yates shares who wins in the biggest fantasy bodybuilding matches. Debates about the greatest bodybuilders have continued since the sport's inception. On January 7, 2026, via Instagram, Dorian Yates revealed who would win among bodybuilding icons from different eras. The men's open class is the top division of the IFBB Pro League. It boasts the largest number of stars, and for decades, athletes with diverse physiques, shapes, and aesthetics have achieved success on the Mr. Olympia stage, the most prestigious bodybuilding competition. The golden era saw Arnold Schwarzenegger reign supreme. Soon after, Lee Haney cemented his status as one of the all-time greats with 8 Olympic titles. Yates then ushered in a new era of mass-class athletes before Ronnie Coleman took up the mantle and ran with it. No one reigns forever, as Jay Cutler managed to dethrone Coleman and cement his place in bodybuilding history. Raising the bar, Phil Heath dominated the scene, winning 7 Olympic titles. We've always wondered how these titans would fare against each other, which led Yates to examine some of these clashes in detail. Dorian Yates tackles the fantastic clashes between bodybuilding legends. In the video, Yates was asked about several battles involving bodybuilders from different eras. Jay Cutler vs. Frank Zane. He remained brief and mild during the preview of the hypothetical showdown between Jay Cutler and Frank Zane. Jay Cutler vs. Sergio Oliva. His response was more nuanced with this comparison. Although he credited Oliva for being ahead of his time, he believes that at his all-time best, Cutler had the most advanced physique. The fact is that, here, I want to answer the question, but it's perhaps not like boxing or kickboxing, where one guy would probably be better than another because it's a certain era in bodybuilding. Frank Zane and Sergio Oliva belong to an earlier era, and Jay Cutler to the modern era. The best against the best. It would be Jay Cutler because he was more advanced, but Sergio Oliva, for his time, was above everyone else, he said. Jay Cutler vs. Phil Heath. With some hesitation, the Shadow chose Heath over Cutler. That one's difficult because they competed and they both won. My personal preference? I'd choose Phil Heath in the overall standings. Phil Heath vs. Chris Bumstead. According to Yates, a battle between Chris Bumstead and Heath would not be close. Phil Heath, easily. Phil Heath vs. Lee Haney. Although he generally preferred Lee Haney's physique, in a head-to-head confrontation he thought Heath would emerge victorious. Again, we're talking about 2 different eras. If we put them both at their best on stage, I think Phil Heath might win, but I prefer Lee Haney's physique. Lee Haney vs. Dorian Yates. Despite his defeat against Haney, Yates believes his best version was superior to Haney's. It depends. I fought Lee Haney in 1991, and he beat me, quite rightly. I beat him in a 3-round knockout, he explained. If we're talking about Dorian at his best and Haney at his best, then yes, I'll beat him. Dorian Yates vs. Ronnie Coleman. Of all the competitors, Yates stated that Ronnie Coleman would beat him. Probably Ronnie. He's the only one I'd say that to. My competitive ego doesn't like it, but he'd probably beat me. Ronnie Coleman vs. Arnold Schwarzenegger. If Coleman and Schwarzenegger were facing off at their best, Yates would by far have to give Coleman the green light. Ronnie. Arnold was great. Head and shoulders above everyone else and had excellent genetics. But if you talk about what he produced and what Ronnie did, that was 40 years later, of course, Ronnie would destroy him. Fantastic matchups always lead to interesting discussions. Judge Tarek El Gindi recently joined the fray. He compared the main physiques of Yates and Cutler. El Gindi thought it was close but gave the edge to Cutler. Yates can appreciate what each era of the sport has offered fans. When it comes to the best physique of all time, he wouldn't say so outright, but he seemed to lean towards Ronnie Coleman.